If you are over 60 years old, I am begging you to stop what you are doing right now and listen to every single word I am about to tell you. What I am going to reveal in the next few minutes could literally save your life, and I am not exaggerating when I say that. You see, there are 9 common fruits sitting in your kitchen right now. Fruits that you have been told your entire life are healthy. Fruits that you probably eat every single day, thinking you are doing something good for your body. But here is the terrifying truth that no one wants to tell you. These seemingly innocent fruits are quietly and systematically destroying your heart, interfering with your medications, and putting you at risk for life-threatening complications that could land you in the emergency room tonight. I know this sounds impossible. I know you are probably thinking that I have lost my mind. How could something as natural and healthy as fruit be dangerous? But stay with me, because what you are about to learn will shock you to your core and change the way you think about nutrition forever. The medical community has been keeping this information buried for decades, and the reason why is absolutely mind-blowing. My name is Dr. Michael Harrison, and I have spent the last 32 years as a cardiologist treating patients over the age of 60. I have seen thousands of seniors come through my office doors, confused and frightened because their health was deteriorating despite doing everything they thought was right. They were eating their fruits and vegetables, taking their medications religiously, and following every piece of advice their doctors had given them. Yet their blood pressure was skyrocketing, their heart rhythms were becoming dangerously irregular, and their kidney function was declining rapidly. For years, I could not figure out what was happening. The pattern was too consistent to be a coincidence, but the cause remained a mystery until one day, everything changed. I discovered the connection that no one else was willing to acknowledge. The very fruits that we have been recommending to our senior patients for decades are actually creating a perfect storm of health complications when, combined with the natural aging process and the medications that most people over 60 depend on to stay alive. You see, when you reach 60, your body undergoes fundamental changes that most people do not understand. Your kidneys begin to function at only about 70% of their original capacity. Your liver processes medications and nutrients completely differently than it did when you were younger. Your metabolism slows down dramatically, and your body becomes hypersensitive to compounds that never bothered you before. This creates a dangerous situation where foods that were once beneficial become toxic time bombs waiting to explode. But here is what makes this even more terrifying. The pharmaceutical companies and the food industry know about these interactions, but they have chosen to keep this information hidden because addressing it would cost them billions of dollars in lost profits. They would rather let you suffer the consequences than admit that their products are creating deadly combinations in your body. If this information is resonating with you, if you are starting to realize that you might be unknowingly poisoning yourself every single day, then I need you to do something for me right now. Hit that like button below this video and let me know in the comments that you are ready to learn the truth. Your engagement tells me that this message is reaching the people who need it most, and it helps me continue to bring you life-saving information that you will never hear anywhere else. Also, make sure you subscribe to this channel and ring that notification bell, because what I am about to share with you is just the beginning of a series that could literally add years to your life. Now, let me tell you about the first fruit that you need to eliminate from your diet immediately. And this one is going to surprise you because it is probably sitting in your refrigerator right now. Grapefruit. Oh, beautiful, tangy, vitamin C packed grapefruit. You have been told for decades that this citrus powerhouse is one of the healthiest things you can eat. It is low in calories, high in antioxidants, and supposedly great for your immune system. You probably start your morning with a nice glass of fresh grapefruit juice, thinking you are giving your body the perfect nutritional boost to start the day. But here is the deadly truth that your doctor should have told you but probably never will. Grapefruit contains powerful compounds called furanocoumarins that completely shut down an enzyme in your liver called cytochrome P453A. EE4. This enzyme is responsible for breaking down over 50% of all prescription medications. When grapefruit blocks this enzyme, your medications build up to toxic levels in your bloodstream, creating effects that can literally kill you. Let me tell you about Margaret Thompson, a 71-year-old retired teacher who came to see me 3 years ago. Margaret was the picture of health consciousness. She ate organic foods, exercised regularly, and followed her medication regimen perfectly. Every morning, she would take her blood pressure medication with a large glass of fresh grapefruit juice, thinking she was starting her day in the healthiest way possible. One Tuesday morning, Margaret collapsed in her kitchen while preparing breakfast. Her husband found her unconscious on the floor and rushed her to the emergency room. When she arrived, her blood pressure was so low that she was in danger of going into shock. The emergency room doctors were baffled. Her medication levels were through the roof, as if she had taken 5 times her normal dose. It took 3 days of intensive testing before we discovered the culprit. The grapefruit juice that Margaret had been drinking religiously for over 2 years was preventing her liver from breaking down her blood pressure medication. Instead of getting her normal dose, she was essentially getting a massive overdose every single day, and her body had finally reached its breaking point. When I explained this to Margaret, she was devastated. She had been poisoning herself for years while thinking she was being healthy. The worst part is that this information is readily available in medical literature, but somehow it never makes it to the patients who need it most. If you are taking any heart medication, blood pressure medication, cholesterol medication, or blood thinners, grapefruit could be creating a deadly combination in your system right now. You need to talk to your doctor or pharmacist immediately about this interaction, and you need to eliminate grapefruit from your diet completely. But grapefruit is just the beginning. The second fruit on this list is even more shocking because it is the fruit that most people consider to be the ultimate heart-healthy food. Bananas? Yes, you heard that correctly. Bananas, those yellow curved symbols of health that every doctor has recommended for decades. You have been told that bananas are perfect for your heart because they are high in potassium, which supposedly helps regulate blood pressure and supports healthy heart function. You probably eat at least 1 banana every day, thinking you are doing something wonderful for your cardiovascular system. But here is the terrifying reality that no one talks about. When you are over 60, your kidneys cannot process potassium the way they used to. As your kidney function declines with age, potassium begins to accumulate in your bloodstream, reaching dangerous levels that can cause your heart to stop beating without warning. The medical term for this condition is hyperkalemia, which means too much potassium in your blood. Most people have no idea this is happening because the early symptoms are subtle. You might feel a little tired, maybe some muscle weakness, perhaps some tingling in your hands and feet. But these symptoms are easy to dismiss as normal signs of aging. The real danger comes when potassium levels reach critical heights. At that point, your heart rhythm becomes dangerously irregular, and you can go into cardiac arrest with absolutely no warning. The most terrifying part is that this can happen to anyone over 60 who eats bananas regularly, especially if they are taking medications for heart conditions or high blood pressure. Let me tell you about Robert Chen, a 68-year-old retired engineer who nearly died because of this exact scenario. Robert was incredibly health conscious and had been managing his high blood pressure successfully for over 10 years. His doctor had prescribed an ACE inhibitor to keep his blood pressure under control. And Robert was also taking a potassium-sparing diuretic to help his body eliminate excess fluid. Robert read everything he could about heart-healthy nutrition, and every source told him the same thing: eat more bananas. The potassium in bananas would help his heart, and complement his blood pressure treatment. So Robert started eating 2 large bananas every single day, along with his regular medications. For months, everything seemed fine. Robert felt great, his blood pressure was well controlled, and he was proud of his healthy lifestyle. But what Robert did not know was that his medications were designed to help his body retain potassium, and the extra potassium from the bananas was creating a deadly buildup in his system. One evening, while watching television with his wife, Robert suddenly felt his heart skip a beat. Then it happened again. Within minutes, his heart was racing and then stopping, racing and then stopping. His wife called 911, and by the time the paramedics arrived, Robert was in full cardiac arrest. The emergency room team was able to revive Robert, but it was touch and go for several hours. When his blood work came back, his potassium levels were dangerously high, well into the range that can cause sudden death. The culprit was the combination of his medications and those supposedly healthy bananas he had been eating every day. When Robert recovered enough to understand what had happened, he was shocked. Nobody had ever told him that bananas could be dangerous. Nobody had explained that his medications already affected his potassium levels. He had been creating a lethal combination in his body while thinking he was following the healthiest possible diet. If you are taking any heart medications, blood, pressure medications, or diuretics, those bananas in your kitchen could be silently building up to deadly levels in your bloodstream right now. This is exactly why you need to have an immediate conversation with your healthcare provider about every single fruit you are consuming, because what I am about to reveal next will make the banana situation look like child's play. The third fruit that is quietly destroying the health of millions of seniors is one that most people consider to be an exotic superfood: mangoes. These sweet, tropical fruits have been marketed as nutritional powerhouses, packed with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Health enthusiasts rave about their anti-inflammatory properties and their ability to boost immune function. You probably think that adding mangoes to your diet is one of the smartest health decisions you could make. But here is the devastating truth that the health food industry does not want you to know. Mangoes have an extremely high glycemic index, which means they cause your blood sugar to spike dramatically and rapidly. For people over 60, especially those dealing with diabetes or prediabetes, this blood sugar roller coaster creates a cascade of cardiovascular damage that accumulates over time. When your blood sugar spikes rapidly, your blood vessels become inflamed and damaged. Your heart has to work harder to pump blood through these damaged vessels, and your risk of heart attack and stroke increases exponentially. But here is the part that makes this truly dangerous. Most seniors have some degree of insulin resistance, even if they have never been diagnosed with diabetes. This means their bodies cannot handle these sugar spikes the way younger people can. I will never forget Patricia Williams, a 73-year-old grandmother who came to my office complaining of constant fatigue and chest pain. Patricia had been trying to eat healthier after her last doctor visit, and she had started replacing her afternoon snacks with what she thought were nutritious mango smoothies. She was consuming 2 large mangoes every day, blended with yogurt and honey, thinking she was giving her body the perfect combination of nutrients. What Patricia did not realize was that each of those smoothies contained more sugar than 4 cans of soda. Her blood sugar was spiking to dangerous levels multiple times per day, and her cardiovascular system was under constant assault. The chest pain she was experiencing was her heart crying out for help, but she attributed it to normal aging. When we ran Patricia's blood work, her hemoglobin A1C was through the roof, indicating that her average blood sugar had been dangerously high for months. Her arteries showed signs of significant inflammation, and her heart function had declined measurably since her last visit, all because of those supposedly healthy mangoes she thought were improving her health. After Patricia eliminated mangoes from her diet and stabilized her blood sugar, her chest pain disappeared within weeks. Her energy levels returned, and her follow-up tests showed dramatic improvement in her cardiovascular markers. She often tells me that learning about the mango connection was the turning point that saved her life. But if you think mangoes are bad, wait until you hear about the fruit that is literally sitting on most people's counters right now, looking completely innocent, while secretly preparing to wreak havoc on your cardiovascular system. Apples. I can already hear you saying that. This is impossible. Apples are supposed to be the ultimate healthy food. An apple a day keeps the doctor away, right? Well, that old saying might have been true when you were younger, but after 60, apples can become one of the most dangerous foods in your kitchen. The problem with apples lies in their extremely high fiber content combined with their natural fruit sugars. While fiber is generally considered healthy, the type of fiber in apples can actually interfere with the absorption of critical heart medications in older adults. This fiber binds to medications in your digestive system and prevents them from being properly absorbed into your bloodstream. Additionally, apples contain high levels of sorbitol, a sugar alcohol that can cause severe digestive distress in older adults. Your aging digestive system cannot process sorbitol efficiently, leading to bloating, gas, and diarrhea. But the real danger comes from the fact that this digestive upset can prevent you from absorbing your medications properly, leaving you unprotected against heart attacks and strokes. Let me tell you about Harold Martinez, a 76-year-old retired police officer who had been managing his heart condition successfully for years. Harold was religious about taking his medications, and he prided himself on eating healthy foods. Every morning he would eat a large apple with his breakfast, thinking he was starting his day with the perfect combination of nutrition and heart protection. Harold began noticing that he was feeling more tired than usual, and his occasional chest pain was becoming more frequent. When he came in for his routine checkup, his blood work showed that his medication levels were much lower than they should have been. As if he was not taking his pills regularly, Harold was frustrated and confused. He knew he was taking his medications exactly as prescribed. It took several weeks of investigation before we discovered that the apple fiber was binding to his heart medication and preventing it from being absorbed. Harold had been essentially unprotected against heart problems for months, all because of those supposedly healthy apples he was eating every morning. Once Harold eliminated apples from his breakfast routine, his medication levels returned to normal, and his symptoms disappeared. But the damage could have been catastrophic if we had not caught this interaction in time. Now, I know what you are thinking. If I cannot eat grapefruit, bananas, mangoes, or apples, what am I supposed to eat? This is exactly the question that my patients ask me every single day, and I am about to give you the answer that could change everything. But first, let me tell you about the fifth fruit that you need to eliminate immediately. And this one is going to shock you because it is probably the most popular breakfast fruit in America. Oranges. Yes, those vitamin C-packed citrus fruits that you have been told are essential for immune function and overall health. The truth is that oranges contain dangerously high levels of citric acid, which can interfere with kidney function in older adults. When your kidneys are already functioning at reduced capacity due to aging, the extra citric acid creates additional stress that can push you into kidney failure. But the real danger comes from the interaction between orange consumption and common medications. The citric acid in oranges can actually increase the absorption of certain medications, causing you to get much higher doses than intended. This is particularly dangerous with blood thinners, where even small increases in medication levels can cause life-threatening bleeding. Sarah Chen, a 69-year-old bookkeeper, learned this lesson the hard way. Sarah had been taking a blood thinner for atrial fibrillation, and her levels had been stable for over 2 years. She decided to improve her health by drinking fresh orange juice every morning, thinking the vitamin C would boost her immune system. Within weeks, Sarah began experiencing unusual bruising all over her body. Small bumps would leave large, dark bruises that took weeks to heal. One morning, she woke up with blood in her mouth, and her gums were bleeding constantly. When she came to the emergency room, her blood clotting time was dangerously prolonged, putting her at risk for internal bleeding. The culprit was the orange juice. The citric acid had increased her blood thinner absorption to dangerous levels, essentially giving her a massive overdose every single day. Sarah had to be hospitalized for 3 days while we reversed the effects of the medication, and she could have died from internal bleeding if she had waited any longer to seek help. After eliminating oranges from her diet, Sarah's medication levels returned to normal, and the bleeding stopped completely. But the experience left her terrified of making similar mistakes with other foods. The pattern is becoming clear, but what I am about to reveal next will show you that the problem goes much deeper than just individual fruits. The truth is that the modern food system has created a perfect storm of danger for anyone over 60. The fruits we eat today are bred to be sweeter, more acidic, and more concentrated than anything our ancestors consumed. When you combine these, artificially enhanced fruits with the natural aging process and modern medications, you create combinations that can be lethal. But here is the most important thing I want you to understand. This is not about depriving yourself or giving up on healthy eating. This is about making informed choices that actually support your health instead of undermining it. So what should you be eating instead? The answer is simpler than you might think, and it involves returning to the gentle, nourishing foods that truly support an aging body. Instead of high-acid citrus fruits, choose mild berries like blueberries and blackberries in small portions. These provide antioxidants without the dangerous acid levels. Instead of high-potassium bananas, try small amounts of cantaloupe or honeydew melon. Instead of high-glycemic mangoes, choose cucumber or mild vegetables that provide nutrients without spiking your blood sugar. The key is moderation, timing, and choosing foods that work with your medications rather than against them. Every single food choice you make after 60 should be evaluated through the lens of how it will interact with your aging body and your prescription medications. Let me tell you about Ruby Henderson, a 78-year-old artist who transformed her health by making these exact changes. Ruby came to me exhausted, confused, and convinced that her body was failing her. She had been following standard nutrition advice, eating lots of fruits and vegetables, but her health was declining rapidly. After we identified the problematic fruits in her diet and replaced them with gentle, appropriate alternatives, Ruby's transformation was remarkable. Her energy returned, her heart rhythm stabilized, and her medication side effects virtually disappeared. Today, Ruby tells me that learning the truth about senior nutrition gave her back her life. This is not just about food. This is about respecting your body's changing needs and giving yourself permission to age gracefully and healthily. You deserve to feel strong, energetic, and confident in your food choices. You deserve to know the truth about what is actually helping versus hurting your health. If this information has opened your eyes to the hidden dangers in your kitchen, if you are ready to take control of your health in a way that actually works, then I want you to consider leaving a super thanks for this video. Your financial support helps me continue bringing you these life-saving revelations that you will never hear anywhere else. This financial help allows me to research, investigate, and share information that could literally save your life or the life of someone you love. But is that all? What else can be revealed about the hidden dangers lurking in foods you eat every day? Find out in the next videos.